Okay, number one, a store pays $27 for a lamp and then sells it for $45. Find the percent of increase. Okay, so we're going from $27 to $45. What percent is that? What we need to do is take the difference of those two numbers, the difference over the starting number. The difference over the starting number. So the difference of 45 and 27. So I'll write that in there. 45 minus 27 over the starting number. What number did we start with? 27. Okay, so the difference of the two numbers over the starting number. And 45 minus 27 is 18. So we have 18 over 27. Now this can be reduced even more, so keep on reducing as much as possible. And I know that, 9 goes into both of these. 9 goes into 18 2 times, and 9 goes into 27 3 times. Now remember, we're looking for percent. Find the percent of increase. And I have a fraction. So what you want to do is take, in case you do not know the answer by looking at it, you want to take the top number and put it in the box. Bring the decimal straight up. And the other number's on the outside. And we just divide. So let's see. 3 goes into 2. No, it doesn't go into 2. I'll add a 0. 3 goes into 20. Oops, what am I doing 3 times? It's 6 times. Right? 6 times 3 is 18. That gives me 2 more. Excuse me. Add a 0. And 3 goes into 20. Hey, it's doing the same thing over again, isn't it? So you can see that your answer, you move this over 2 times, and there's your decimal. There's your percent. And so it's 66.7%, or you could say 67% if you're rounding off. So once you get it to a fraction, reduced fraction, go ahead and just simply divide. Divide a couple of times, and then you'll see your percentage. Number 2, going to the right, a store pays $100 for a desk and then sells it for $180. Because they have to make a profit. Find the percent of increase. Okay, so we went from 100 to 180. What percentage is that? Well, remember, what we want to do is take the difference over the starting number. Difference over the starting number. And the difference between 100 and 180 is 80. What number did we start with? Well, we started with 100. So we have 80 over 100. But let's reduce that more. I know that 20 will go into both of these. If you didn't know that, you could use 10. But 20 goes in here 4, and 20 goes in here 5. So I have 4/5. I'll reduce as much as possible. Now let's go ahead and divide. Top number goes in the box. Decimal straight up. So let's see. 5 into 4. No, it doesn't go into 4. Add a 0. 5 into 40, 8 times. Excuse me, 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. There's nothing left over. So we have a decimal, and we're trying to find percent. We have a fraction, just divide to get the percentage. You're going to get a decimal here. You're going to have to move this over 2 spaces if you want the correct answer. So that means that your percent of increase is 80%. So from 100 to 180, that's 80% increase. Number 3, Rebecca earns $36 for 4 hours of work. At that rate, $36 for 4 hours, how long does it take her to earn $144? Notice that I have a rate here. Dollars per hours. Okay, $36 for 4 hours. Okay, so that's a rate. Now, you know what? I'm trying to find out how much for $144. How many hours for $144? So, I'm just going to make a proportion out of this, and I want to find out how many hours. How many hours do I have to work to get to make $144? Dollars over hours, dollars over hours. So I'm trying to solve for x. So remember the one diagonal of it, that goes on the bottom. And the other two, this is our shortcut, remember. The other two numbers go on top. So I have 4, and I have 144. Okay, so now all I have to do is just reduce and find my answer. Okay, so now that I set up the proportion, I have this solving for x. There are many ways to reduce this. You could simply multiply and divide by 36, or you could reduce. 4 does go into 36 9 times, and then you'll have to divide 9 into 144. You could do that way. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try and break up these large numbers here. I know that 2 will go into both of these, right? So I'll just take half. Half of 36 is 18. So that's 18 now. And I know that half of 144, well, half of 14 is 7, and half of 4 is 2, so 72. Okay? Now, let's see, is there anything else that can go into those? Well, I know that 9 goes into 18, and 9 goes into 72, right? Because 9 goes into 18 2 times. And 9 goes into 72 8 times. 9 times 8 is 72. So now I have a 4, an 8, and a 2. Just carry that across there. Well, let's see, what else can I do? I can do 2 into 4, or 2 into 8, rather. 2 goes in here once, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. So really what it comes down to is 36 goes into 144 4 times. But we simply reduced it, kept reducing. Now I have a 1 on the bottom, and a 4 and a 4 on top. So 4 times 4 is 16. My answer is 16. So the question was, at this rate, how long would it take for her to earn $144? The answer to that is 16 hours. Okay, so for this problem, make a proportion and then solve for x by reducing. Okay, number 4, Tom earns $18 for 3 hours of work. At that rate, how long would it take him to earn $108? So I'm going to make a proportion. I have $18 for 3 hours of work. Notice I have dollars, hours. I'm going to have dollars over hours. Okay, the units have to stay the same. And so 18 for 3 hours, and how long would it take him to earn $108? So my dollars up here is 108, and I don't know this right here, x. So we'll set that up. And remember the shortcut to this? Remember, these two go together, then these two go together, then you divide by 18. But, for example, we have x times 18 equals 3 times 108. Okay, so you have that, then you end up dividing by 18. All right, but all this comes out to be, the shortcut is simply the one diagonal of x goes on the bottom, and the other two numbers go on top. 3 times 108. 108. Okay, so this is just a shortcut that I do. All right, so now we need to divide. And looking at this, I know that 3 goes into 18 6 times, but then I have to divide 6 and 108. Why don't I just take half? Half of 18 is 9. half of 108. Well, you know half of 10 is 5, and half of 8 is 4. So this is 54. Right? That's half of 108 is 54. Okay, so is there anything else we can reduce? Well, sure. Look, 9 goes into 54. 9 goes in here once, and 9 goes into 54. 9 times 6 is 54. Okay, so now we have a 3 and a 6. That's it. Well, 3 times 6 is 18. So our answer is 18 hours. Now, if you want to do it the long way, you could have done that. You could have said 3 goes in there once, 3 goes in there 6, and you would have had 6 divided into 108. You could have done that, but I just prefer to do this method. Okay, number 5. A shirt originally cost $35 in the store, and last month it was on sale for 30% off. They're taking away 30%. How much was deducted from the original price? Okay, so they start with $35, and then they're going to subtract 30% of $35. 30% of $35. Okay, so 35 minus 30% of 35. Well, how do we find 30% of 35? All we have to do is, if the shortcut way is, or the easy way is, just take 30 as 0.30 times 35. Okay, so 0.30 times 35. So I'll multiply that out. Okay, let's try number 6. A pair of shoes originally cost $125 in the store, and then it's on sale at 40% off. And it wants to know how much was deducted from the original price. How much was that 40%? So all we really need to do is just find out 40% of 125. So if I have $125 and I want 40%, I just make 40% to a decimal, 0.40. Multiply it out, and I have my answer. So you can probably do this quicker than I can. Don't forget to move the decimal over 2 spaces. So it looks like 40% is $50. So how much was deducted? $50.